joined by former Michigan players Jim Betts and also Greg Daddy Skrepnik, who just loved that last segment, talking all offensive line, everything you could imagine. We also have Tom Beaver of GoBlueWolverine.com on the line. This final segment has to be dedicated to the negative. What a lot of former players, a lot of Michigan fans probably didn't like to see. And as we were talking about during the break, even Brady Hoke probably didn't sleep too well after a victory last night. 47 points given up to Indiana. Obviously, they used a couple of different quarterbacks. Trey Roberson, dynamic in what he was able to do, scored 3 touchdowns. Nate Sudfeld was effective in the passing game, but didn't necessarily beat him as bad as Roberson did. Looking at that game, the pace that Indiana played with, how they wanted to attack Michigan. I guess just, your initial thoughts, what you saw, how sick were you after the game, watching that one?
Well, let me say this, and I know we've talked mostly about offense, and offense probably gets a lot of attention anyway, simply because we live in an era that, offense is the precedent. But we all know, sitting here, that, offense may win games, but defense wins championships. That's just the way it is. And if you have a good defense, you're going to be in every game. If you look at the NFL, the teams with good defenses are usually the teams that are competing at the end of the year. The Baltimore Ravens are a great example of that. But even the premier teams in the league, despite offensive play, and everyone wants to see the score, the team with the defense is usually there at the end. So we know that defense is a key proponent to our success. It always has been. It always will be here at the University of Michigan. Again, starts with the guys up front. The good news is, we've been working on a 4-man front to really establish pressure with just 4 guys, which gives us so many more options to do. Unfortunately, with yesterday's pace, we weren't able to get to the quarterback as much as we like, and they were able to get some matchups that were favorable for Indiana. I think our defensive secondary, particularly our corners, I don't think they played horribly bad. I think they just didn't make plays. What I have liked to see over the last several years has been the progression of the defense, and I think that the defensive backs have done a tremendous job at getting in position. Now, once they're in position, they have to make plays. So yesterday it happened. It looked like a apparent interception, should have been interception, and there it goes. Indiana receiver made a great play, and down the sideline he goes. So you're there in position, and now it's all the time making a play. And so you're young. Yeah, I don't really think they played bad against Penn State. I think, we were there. The only thing I think really where they played bad was the last 50 seconds where I think, there were Penn State players made a couple of great plays and really you got to take your hats off to them. But they're in position. I think really the bottom line yesterday was the pace of that game that just got them. I think it wore them down to a certain extent, and I think they just couldn't get into position quick enough at times, and so Indiana had some success.
Indiana, 47 points in 21 minutes of possession. I guess, we were kind of talking about the DBs in their alignment on the field, their responsibilities. I mean, again, it comes down to making plays. They were in position. Same thing at Penn State late in that game. You're in position to make the play. You just have to do it, and big plays were, obviously a killer for Michigan yesterday.
Yeah, I think I was thinking while you guys, Screp was talking, I was thinking about in 1970, that was a couple of years ago, we played Purdue. and Darryl Stingley was on that team. Darryl Stingley, as a sophomore, was a legitimate 4-3 wide receiver. And we had a combo coverage on. Corner was supposed to bump him at the line of scrimmage, slow him down. I was supposed to pick up the half of the field, and the corner never touched him. And Stingley came out of there, man, like he was, running a 100-yard dash out of the blocks. And I looked up, and I said, there's no way I can stay with this guy. So I ran over, and I tackled him right in front of Bo. And Bo was raising hell about, we got 15 yards. I said, look, it was either take the 15 or give up the score. I think in some situations when these guys are playing out there, you have to realize that you can't let them continue to get the yardage that they need for a first down. Sometimes you might have to do something that's going to be disruptive. Now, how you pull it off, that's up to you. But don't just allow these guys to continue to run around, unencumbered and make these plays on you. You can get in your position, but you also have to make sure that these guys are not getting in their positions, okay? Take a chance, and I know, Kurt's going to probably cuss me out when he sees me. But I really think you have to take a chance. You have to, really get in these receivers' face. If you can throw them off, it also will help the, defensive lineman get in there and put a little bit more pressure. Because if these guys are in a rhythm, our D line is never going to get there. And they'll be getting that ball out and popping it on you. They'll never get it. But if you disrupt some of that rhythm as a defensive back, now you've given your guys up front an opportunity to come in and put some heat on them. So I think
that's a great point. I think you just made a great point, because I've watched Michigan State several times this year, and that is what they do on defense. They may get pass interference calls again and again, but they're going to disrupt the offensive flow,
big time.
And eventually it works to their advantage.
Well, and especially in a game like this, Screp, you brought up the pass rush. I wasn't really looking, at that 4-man rush because, like you said, a 3-step drop and that ball's out, in 2 seconds. I mean, you want to obviously get pressure. They brought some blitzes in certain situations that got home and got a little pressure, but in a game like that against an offense like this, you're not really going to be able to pin your ears back and get to guys that quick if they're getting rid of the ball.
You're right, but still you got to get to it. And you understand, too, because of the position that Indiana was able to get some long runs because of just the position itself. And I think, too, the other thing that we don't, think about too often, I think that this defensive team really misses the leadership of Ryan. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know he's back now the last couple of weeks. I don't think he really is in the flow yet. That injury is a devastating injury, and I'm actually impressed how fast he came back. But what he was last year to this team, and it just, you could tell that there's that it's not there this year.
Right.
And I think our linebackers have done. Ross played a good game. I think he had a ton of tackles yesterday, and you can see that we have some potential in having some big defensive linemen and some big players. Even our corners who got beats. I think they're going to be very solid, good players. I think they'll be all Big Ten type players. So you got to. Again, if we go back to, are they thinking too much? And is that why they're not disrupting the things?
Yep.
And so that's part of the reason. And that's part of the reason we have a 4-man front, too, because we're protecting some of the youth that we have in the secondary. So with more guys back there, with 7 guys back there, we have I think, Coach, our defense coordinator believes we have a better shot. But I really just think it's that time about making plays. They're not out of position. They've done a nice job, being there. And we're talking a little bit, too, that we don't want them to see them 10 yards off the ball either. Get up there and get in their nose and play Michigan football. I mean, that's what my message to the team was. Hey, listen, you're Michigan. Act like it. And so get up there and play the physical game that we like to play. But overall, of course, there needs to be some adjustments because if we give up so many points, but it's not as bad as you think it is.
Well, Thomas Gordon made a couple of the big plays, couple interceptions in that fourth quarter that ultimately got the job done. We only have a minute left here. I didn't mean to leave so little time to talk defense. Tom, you brought up Michigan State, though, for both of you quickly, I guess. The bye week comes at a pretty good time, it seems, as the offensive line continues to shuffle. A lot of freshmen on the field defensively for Michigan as well. Ben Getting at linebacker, Jordan Lewis, Channing Stribling, playing corner as well. Heading into the bye week, heading into Michigan State, November 2nd. Biggest thing that you want to see cleaned up, we'll start with you, Jim. Either side of the ball, too.
Well, I think offensively, we had talked about it earlier. We've got to get more guys, especially in the passing game, involved. Devin has got to spread the ball around, and it's going to be especially important against Michigan State. Linemen popping on the line so Fitz can hit the hole, 40 going north and not worry about, dancing around, because it's going to be important to keep that kind of heat on them. Defensively, I don't think State has a great offensive team yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is an opportunity for us to make sure that they don't peak at our game, to come up and press, put heat on them, and do whatever we can to disrupt their offensive flow. And then hopefully, our guys on the other side of the ball, offense, they'll spread the ball around. We'll get some points, and it'll be 63-7.
Script Daddy, running a couple minutes late. So quickly, I guess, for you, how does Michigan go to Michigan State and win in 2 weeks?
You know what? I really don't. This is not a game about the X's and O's. This is a game about raw emotion, and that's what I want to see from this team. I want to see them, conjure up that raw emotion to go on the road to play at a hostile environment and win. And it's just something that I think has kind of been on the back burner because of all the things we've talked about today, specifically because they're so young. But this game is about who wants it more, and so go out and get it. That's what I want to see them do.
Less thinking, more playing. Sorry, we got to get out of here. Up next is Off the Field with John U. Bacon and Jamie Morris. Appreciate you guys being here. I feel like we could talk for another hour. Enjoy the rest of your day at Sports Talk 1050 WTK.